It has been a week for me. There's a lot going on. I just went to my mail. I found a package. It's from Chad. He sent me a 1926 University of Nebraska yearbook. I don't know if you could see that or if it's blurry or not. 1926, that's a long time ago. So I went and looked through some of the pictures, and yeah, it's freaking old. It looks awesome. I'm really thankful to everybody who sends me stuff because I get random packages all the time. Uh, but it's just, cool. People send me Nebraska related stuff that I would never see anywhere else. So, Chad, thank you for sending this to me. I'm going to take a look at this once I get all moved in. And yeah, I'm going to let you know what I think because there's a lot of cool pictures in here and history, obviously. And 1926 was a few years before I was born. So, Chad, thank you for sending this. So, guys, I've been busy. It's been a busy week. It's been a busy couple weeks for me because I planned. Sorry, I got stuff all over me now. Let me just wipe my hands off. It's been a couple busy weeks because I tried to plan out all of my busy season with the lighter part of the season for football. And we took the bye week. What was it? 15 days? Basically, we took 15 days during the bye week, we as in me, to sort out my personal life and make sure everything else was good over there so I could continue to make content and continue to roll and be productive as we get into the end part of the season. So I don't want to say I checked out, but you know, I took a break. I took 15 days where I really didn't pay much attention. I put out a few videos. I put out an interview with Adam Carricker. I did a bi-week, I think it was like a Q&A type of video. And then what else did I do? I did the preview, whatever. I did like 4 videos. I didn't go live last week, as you guys probably noticed, and I got to take a breath. Now, I'm excited again. I'm pumped up because for the first time in what feels like a really long time, Nebraska has a huge opportunity. And it's not an opportunity that we hope can come true. It's an opportunity that we feel like has a really good shot of coming true, which is getting back to, dare I say it, 7 wins. You know, thinking about this week, Nebraska, 10.5 point favorite. Ben Bryant, the quarterback for Northwestern, who I thought would have been cleared by now. They sat him against Howard last week. I thought that was an indication that, okay, we're going to make sure he's fully ready to go once they play Nebraska. But now I read something that says they don't think he's going to play. So you've got Nebraska going against a backup QB or maybe a couple backup QBs. It just feels like inevitable that the outcome is going to be similar to Louisiana Tech. It never ends up that way, though, as we know. Northwestern plays Nebraska a lot tougher than that. And I'm guessing they're going to play them pretty tough tomorrow. My emotional side says slam Nebraska minus 10.5. They're going to win this by 14. Their defense is awesome, but Northwestern has a shit offensive line. They can't run the ball anyway, and they're going to be really one-dimensional with their receiving threats. So, yeah, I don't know what to think about this game outside of the fact that I'm not going to bet it because I don't know enough. I think Nebraska is in a really good spot. You watch those videos that I talked about in my last video, what do you call those? The GBR rewind. They're pretty freaking good. And you see the vision going forward. You see what this staff is trying to coach these guys to get behind, what mindset and mentality we want this team to have, and most of them are buying in, it feels like. And because there are so many guys who are buying in, there are a lot of guys in the rotation who are getting opportunities to play. And the more guys with opportunities to play, the better they get, and so on and so forth. We end up with a team who's actually good and competing for championships and not just competing to win 4 games a year. So, yeah, it's an exciting time is kind of my point. I'm excited for tomorrow, although I've been checked out a little bit. And I'm going to get back in the full swing of things now because even though I love college football, and I watch every Saturday no matter what. You know damn well I was watching last Saturday and the Saturday before when there was no Nebraska game on. And I know I'm rambling a lot, but just let me go and then I'm going to get to the comments. I was watching games on those 2 weekends, and I appreciated so much that I didn't have to get hyper focused on Nebraska. I didn't have to get my emotions revved up for a game. I didn't have to get them, either turned up or turned down after a win or loss. I got to be neutral throughout the day, outside of obviously rooting for the teams I was betting on. But I got to just enjoy college football. I got to listen to the announcers in these other games. I got to dissect what was actually going on around the country and in the Big Ten. And I felt like I was able to take a lot more in because Nebraska was sidelined, because I watched them on a Friday and then they got to take that break. So I was really appreciative of the bye week. And although it pulled me back a little bit and now I got to get my emotions revved back up for this week, yeah, I was excited to be able to watch other teams. So I hope you were too. I hope you were able to watch football last week and that you guys got a lot out of it because there was a lot to learn. I tried to break it down as much as possible in those last couple of videos. The West is still very much alive. How about Iowa? 30.5. It's like the lowest point total in, I don't know what they said, 25 years or something. 30.5. It started off, I think, at 32.5. That means they're expecting Minnesota Iowa's score total to be less than 30 combined points. To be honest with you, I don't even know if I'm going to bet it. But to get me to bet the over, I think you'd have to drop it down to 24. I wouldn't touch 30 points. Iowa's offense is the worst offense in the nation. They're number 130. Their defense isn't as dominant as years past, right? We've talked about that. They're like a top 30 defense. They're really good, but they're not great. They got beat down by Penn State. They lost 31-0. Remember that. So their defense isn't what it used to be. But Minnesota's offense isn't really pulling their weight either. So it's going to be interesting. Is Iowa in for another 7-3 win? Or I guess last week it was 15-6. Are they in for something super tight like that? I'm sure they are. Let me know in the chat if you're betting on that. But pretty interesting. Looks like CTB says he's a Stanford fan now, obviously talking about Colorado's loss last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I was a Stanford fan that night too. How awesome is it? The trajectory, it's so interesting. You got Nebraska who's on this upward rise. They're on this climb. You have a coaching staff who's building something great. And I'm not taking anything away from Dion. I will not trash him because I have a lot of respect for him, for what he's building, and for the way he's building it. He's doing it his way. You know, I like to think of myself as someone who does things my way. It might not be traditional, but I get it done. And I think Dion's going to have that same kind of success as a coach over his career. It might be a little unconventional. It might be a little cringy, right? It might be a little uncomfortable, but the fact that he's still winning and finding success the way he's doing it under the circumstances, taking over a really weak Colorado program, you know, it still says something about the guy and the coach, Coach Prime. So it's fun to make fun of it because you want to see the guys who talk the most shit fail. I actually don't have anything against Prime. It's more so the players who get really cocky, which, you know, we all like to see the cockiness from players too. But yeah, I don't know. I think everyone has their own opinion on it. Nebraska, on the other hand, we all have the same opinion on Nebraska. There is no divided side here. I guess former Panther fans, they would be divided. They're the ones who still say that Matt Rule sucks and that he won't turn it around. But outside of that, all the college football fans, all the Nebraska fans, we're all on the same page. Matt Rule is building something really special here. And you can tell in the way he talks. And that's the one value that we have with this media team. Nebraska has a bunch of guys who are going out and filming all this content, putting together great videos to give us insight that we have never gotten before. Think about that GBR Rewind video. We've gotten GBR Rewinds before. I'm not sure if you've even watched them. You know what they were? They were compilation highlights from game days with zero audio. It was just, well, I mean, there was audio, it was music, but there was zero coach talk. There was zero player interaction. It was just super fire visuals pushed together to remind us of the emotions we felt while we watched the game. Usually it was wins. Now, they're saying, screw it. We're putting every video together. You're going to get to see the insides of what we're building. It's awesome. So shout out to the media team. I can't thank them enough because if you guys remember, when Dion first got hired at Colorado, one of the reasons that I was so excited for Colorado and so excited for college football was because I knew he was bringing a different element from a media perspective. He was going to give us inside access. He was going to make a TV show out of what he was building, which doubles the content. And for fans, it makes it way more fun for us because we can follow along with the journey. It's like taking, you know, a reality show. None of us, I mean, I'm sure some of you guys do watch reality shows, but I don't watch reality shows. And I don't think a lot of you do. So you're getting to now watch a reality show that you actually care about, which is college football, something, you know, masculine and manly, not female drama. Nebraska, my biggest gripe was at the time that they didn't do that. I thought we have this fantastic media team and they could go out and make great content. And we could see these $5+ million head coaches who obviously have a ton of value. Could you imagine if you were able to sit down with any college football coach, just sit down and talk to them? All of the life lessons they learned or all of the lessons they could teach you would be worth millions of dollars. They're at the peak of their profession, right? They have tons of experiences that we as fans can only think about because we've never even been close enough to understand what those experiences are that they've gone through. Anyway, I wanted to get more of that. And this new staff and this new regime came in and started to give it to us. So it's really cool that we're able to see it. Now, going back to why we even started talking about this, we were talking about the growth of these coaches and how in this season, we've seen this team come along and get better and better. And the reason that I'm so excited about this week, and why I think you are as well, is because we're starting to see a culture come together. We're starting to see a team come together, a team who isn't going to lose on some bullshit, a team who isn't going to quit at the end, a team who wants to finish and who's learning how to finish. Against Illinois, that was the last time we got to see these guys play. They didn't finish how we wanted them to finish, right? Well, okay. Overall, they finished how we wanted them to finish, with a W, okay? But they didn't finish how we wanted to see them finish, which was don't fumble the ball in the red zone twice. Don't end up missing, what was it, like 17 points at the end of the game in the third and fourth quarter. They literally missed out on 17 points. Don't force the defense to be the side of the ball that seals the game for you and give us all a heart attack. Go out there and finish the right way, which is pound the ball into the end zone and leave no doubt, leave no fear in any of our hearts that there is a potential comeback looming, because, you know, we all have that history of, what is it? That team has that history of giving us heart attacks and jump scares because you never know what's going to happen at the very end of a game. Okay. I'm trying to stay on track. There's so many things going through my mind, and I'm trying to tie them all together. One sec. I'm back. Now this team came together. Now this team knows how to win. And for once in our lives, we feel like a game that they're supposed to win, they're actually going to win. When's the last time you could say that? Last year? Wisconsin was a game they should have won. They didn't. Were you confident they were going to beat Wisconsin last year? No, you weren't confident in it. Did you think they could? Yeah, I think Wisconsin was like a 10-point favorite, but you felt like if Casey Thompson was back, he could throw it up over the top to Trey Palmer and Nebraska would have a chance. And they did. Nebraska only lost that game by, was it 1 point? They lost like 15-14. Ugh, God, disgusting. Let me try my air really quick. Go back to Purdue, a game Nebraska. Actually, Purdue wasn't when they were supposed to win last year, because Purdue was actually good. But Illinois, Northwestern, there were a lot of games that we've watched in the past where you felt like they are supposed to win, and we as fans don't have confidence that they're going to win the games that they're supposed to. We always had confidence that they would keep it close, and I made another comment the other day in a video. I went and did the research. 6-1 in the Big Ten West as underdogs, but as favorites, they lost their game as a favorite. So, yeah, now it's a time where we actually feel confident like they'll come through for us. They'll actually go out and win a game that they're supposed to. Anyway, that's my thought. That's my initial thought. That's my opening rant, my opening statements. Welcome to the live stream, guys. I'm Connor Hayden. This is Corn Crazed. We're back with another slate of videos this week. We're gonna get back on track, get back to rolling. I'm gonna get interviews. I'm gonna start reaching out to some of the potential guests who I've wanted, who I've actually been able to make contact with. You know, Bill Bush followed me back on Twitter the other day. I sent him a DM, and I'm gonna try to get him on. So I got to put a little bit more pressure there, because I think Bill Bush would be a fantastic guest. Right when he followed me back on Twitter, I was like, all right, he doesn't follow many people, like 50 or something. I was like, yeah, Bill Bush knows what corn craze is, I think, which means there's a much better chance we get him on. And you guys know I'm fighting and clawing for guests because I know that you want them. Yesy, thank you for being a member. Is there a chance we shut out Northwestern tomorrow? Hell yeah. So if you look at Northwestern, they have a quarterback named Ben Bryant, who is essentially their key piece to running that offense, because he's the best well, is he the best passer? Yeah, Ryan Helinski was okay last year, but no. Ben Bryant's their best passer. Their best weapons on offense are their 3 receivers. I think one's last name is Kurtz. One's last name is Henning, who's like a deep threat fast guy from Michigan. And the other one is Cam Johnson from Arizona State. They've been really good. That trio has been solid so far. 2 of them have 300 yards each receiving and 25-ish catches, 24 and 26. So Ben Bryant has to be back there to operate that offense. The rumor is that I've heard is he's not going to play. So if he doesn't play, they've got to rely on either a backup quarterback in Brandon Sullivan. Is that his name? Yeah, I think it's Brandon Sullivan. Or go back to Ryan Helinski, who's actually the quarterback who Nebraska lost to last year in Ireland. Not as much confidence in either of those 2 guys. If they can't pass the ball, can Northwestern win the game? Or if they can't be effective in the pass game, can they win the game? Absolutely not. I think it's a home run that Nebraska would win it. Could Nebraska lose the game? Yes, because of turnovers. Nebraska has been known to lose plenty of games. Other teams haven't won that many games against Nebraska, but Nebraska has lost a lot of games for other teams to win. I'm so clear in my wording because I don't want people to get confused and think that the teams that Nebraska loses to are actually good football teams. Nebraska loses to shit teams, right? Or in the past, they lost to shit teams. We're not going to give them credit for being shit for beating Nebraska. That's not, we don't do that here. So, Nebraska could lose this game to Northwestern tomorrow. They could lose something like 10-3 if their offense can't get it going, but that's not realistic. Now let's go to the shutout conversation. Nebraska has the number 3 run defense in the country, right? Number 3. It's Michigan, Penn State, Nebraska. Yeah. Number 3 run defense in the country. Northwestern has like the number 105 run offense in the country. Am I confident that Northwestern's going to somehow find a run game against Nebraska? No, I'm not confident in that, which means we're going to make them one-dimensional. Can Nebraska shut out a one-dimensional Northwestern? Yeah, especially if you're rolling with a backup quarterback. Nebraska can create turnovers. Nebraska can, I'm assuming they're not going to give them many short fields. I think their offense is good enough to get them in good position in a worst case scenario if they got a punt to put them at the 20 or whatever, wherever Bushini can get the ball down to. So I feel good about a shutout. I'm not going to call for a shutout right now. I think that my score prediction was like 23-10. You know, there's always something funky that can happen. It's a Big Ten West game. These teams are all really good. These teams are all really motivated. Northwestern's not coming in here like a doormat. Northwestern's coming in here at 3-3 with a coach who's fired up. This is a guy who was a defensive coordinator at an FCS school for 3 years. Before that, he was an FCS coach. I don't think he's ever had any thought in his head, at least not recently, that he would end up fighting for a job as a Division I Big Ten coach, right? So he's extremely motivated to get really creative this week in Nebraska because Northwestern could move to 4-3. I would actually say if they win this game against Nebraska, their odds of going to a bowl game are pretty likely since they've still got to play Purdue and Illinois, I think. Purdue, Illinois, Maryland, Iowa, Wisconsin. Yes, so they have a good chance of getting to a bowl game if they can win this week. Nebraska, on the other hand, is in the exact same boat, and they're at home. So, yeah, I don't want to downplay Northwestern as being a team who can't compete, or downplay them as being a team who's down bad and shouldn't even be on the same field as Nebraska, because as we've seen in the past, it's just not true. It's always competitive with them, no matter who they've got on the field. But it just feels different at Nebraska right now. The energy in the air, the fan base, the excitement, the coaching staff, the players gelling together. It finally feels like things are coming together. So, not going to pitch a shutout, I don't think, but I wouldn't be too surprised if they did, because anything can happen when you're playing as fired up as they're going to be tomorrow. Fat Boy said Caleb Benning just committed to Nebraska. Is that true? Can someone confirm that? You trolling me? I got to look on Twitter. Eagle Livewire, member for 12 months. I appreciate you and the support. You've been here for a long time. I've seen you commenting forever. Let's go Huskers. I have faith. Let's see. There was a super chat in here, and I wanted to answer it, guys. Sorry, hang on. Rushy, thank you for the $10 super chat. Don't sleep on Heinrich Harburg. He's good enough to start next year. He's good. I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to read the rest of this comment. Go watch his high school tapes. Oh, this is college now. We evolved from the high school tapes. Kid was a stud. He's still a stud. I agree with that. Frost & Co. ruined him by teaching that sidearm BS. Oh, by teaching that sidearm BS. Rule will set him right, GBR. I am optimistic that Harburg can get Nebraska, dare I say it, to 8 wins this year. I'm optimistic. Is it going to happen? It's a reach. Could it happen? Hell yeah. Now, when we're talking about next season, we're talking about a top, 25 recruiting class, 2 of them now, back to back. We're talking about a coaching staff who, I don't even know what they want to do on offense, because they haven't shown us what they want to do on offense, because they can't show us what they want to do. They can show us a version of what they want to do, but because they are so limited by the talent at quarterback, we only get to see a little bit of it. Do I believe that Nebraska is going to say, no, I don't. I don't believe that Nebraska is going to say, we're going to allow the quarterbacks on the roster to compete for the starting quarterback job next year. I think when you have the money that Nebraska has to spend, and you're going to be able to generate the interest that Nebraska will generate this offseason for top-tier quarterbacks who can throw the ball, I have to guess that they're going to bring one in. Is he good enough to beat out a proven passer. He was good enough to beat out Jeff Sims, but Jeff Sims wasn't a proven passer. He was a 54% completion guy at Georgia Tech. So, it's interesting. I don't know. Right now, I'm going to continue to say Heinrich has more work to do in proving himself beyond 2023. But I'm a full-on believer that he can be successful right now, that he can win the games that he's playing in right now, and that there's enough talent on offense for him to work with to get it done. So that's what I know, Rushy. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Heroes, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you for being a member. I know you've been a member for a long time too. That's why you got that little black corn right there. Since there's no way Minnesota beats Ohio State, what are your thoughts about Nebraska controlling their destiny in the Big Ten West? Let me pull up the Big Ten West standings. Let's talk about it. So, Minnesota plays Ohio State what? Or you're talking about Wisconsin. So, Wisconsin plays Ohio State next week, right? I think next week. Whatever. Nebraska 100% controls their destiny because every team outside of Minnesota that Nebraska plays next is on, or that Nebraska plays coming up is above them in the standings. So all they would have to do, beat Northwestern, there's a jump. Beat Wisconsin, there's a jump. Beat Iowa, you're tied. Iowa is going to lose another game this year to Nebraska if Nebraska is going to control their destiny and get there, right? Which would push Nebraska in the tiebreaker. Do I feel like Nebraska is going to beat Wisconsin and beat Iowa in the same year? It's tough to say. Do I think Nebraska is going to beat Maryland at home and Michigan State on the road in the same year that they beat Wisconsin and Iowa? That's an even bigger stretch, right? I feel like the odds are in my head like 20% that all of that happens and Nebraska is able to make a push. But the problem is it's not about Wisconsin. It's not about Minnesota. Minnesota's going to lose another game. Wisconsin's going to lose another game. And if Wisconsin loses to Nebraska, they're automatically bumping behind Nebraska. The issue is going to be Iowa. And Iowa has the easiest slate you could ask for. They've got Minnesota, Northwestern, Rutgers, and Illinois at home. I mean, is there a bigger jackpot? I don't think so. You get all of your November games minus Nebraska. That's going to be a nightmare for them because that's going to always be a close game. It's always a three-pointer. It's hard. I really want to believe that Nebraska can run the table, but realistically, they're going to lose one, and then they're going to have a chance to beat Iowa. But I just don't see Iowa losing another. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that 20% is a slim margin or a slim number, and the margin for error is extremely thin. So, Big J Sav, thank you for becoming a member. I always see you in the Discord. You guys know I try to respond to the Discord, but it's hard. I got a lot going on, trying to work. So, I leave the Discord for everybody in the chat. There's, like 800 something people on Discord, and everybody's communicating back and forth in there, which is super cool. If you want to join the Discord, you can go to the description box below and just click that. It's free. It's easy to sign up. But anyway, there's a bunch of people in the Discord, and Jay, I always see you in there. EK, thank you for becoming a member. And Felix has been a member for a month. Huskers make it to Indy GBR. See, what's good about all of the positive vibes over the last 2 weeks, even though there's been a break and there's been a little bit of a cool down, at least from my end, we're all confident and we're all excited that Nebraska can get there. There's hope that we're not watching a team who's going to lose a game. We're watching a team who could win every game. It's a glass half full mentality now. There's no more pessimism. I mean, there are pessimistic people in this fan base, and I see comments all the time. But in general, it's pretty optimistic. There's a belief that we're going to get it done. And if we all have that same mindset and that same willpower to fight through all the negative thoughts, maybe this coaching staff and these players will too. So that's cool. Rodis gifted 20 Corn Craze memberships. Thank you for the support. Appreciate you. And everybody who becomes a member obviously appreciates it too. And Rodis donated 20. Appreciate that. Josh Fleeks, go. Josh Fleeks is an interesting character. He comes in against, who was it? I don't remember the first game he came in, but he had a catch. And I thought, okay, Josh Fleeks getting warmed up. Nothing after that. Josh Fleeks then comes in against Michigan. Bursts on the scene with a touchdown. Whoa, we've got a running back there who's now proven, even though it was against Michigan's third or fourth or seventh team, whatever that was. Then you bounce back with the Illinois game, and there was no Josh Fleeks. It was like one run the entire game. What's the view on Josh Fleeks with his coaching staff? Do they not trust him? Does he not know the whole playbook? You know, one of the biggest issues for a lot of these players is that this playbook is extremely complex. I've talked about it. Someone told me that this playbook's a lot girthier than last year's playbook. The Mark Whipple offense, I guess, was a little bit more simplified. This offense is really complicated. So to come in right away as a transfer who's trying to learn two positions, or to come in as a true freshman, Jalen Lloyd, Malachi Coleman, whoever, and try and understand what your role is and what your assignments are when you're trying to manage and learn all three positions is not an easy task. So I think because the playbook is so complex and so difficult, and when you're trying to learn two different positions, it can be hard to master it. That may be what's holding him back from getting more snaps than he's getting. That's my guess. I know nothing. But if I had to guess a reason, because he's talented, he's fast, he obviously has the vision and the capabilities to be a good back. But Nebraska also has two other backs. You've got Anthony Grant. You've got Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson looked good. I mean, they both fumbled. I'm trying to think of a way to talk about the fumbling without, hyper focusing on it, because yes, it just is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. Fleeks isn't ready to go, apparently, because if he was ready to go, he would be in there more. That's my takeaway. Jackson, thank you for the $10 super chat. What's your thought on the talk about Carter Nelson maybe flipping to Notre Dame after his visit last week? Been hearing quite a bit of talk about it. I have had conversations with people who know Carter Nelson, and I have been adamant that Carter Nelson is going to come to Nebraska. I've said it so many times because I want to make sure that you guys are confident in it, like the way I'm confident in it, But I also can't say the things I hear, Carter Nelson's coming to Nebraska. It's sealed. Done. I don't know what to say. Like, that's it. Carter Nelson's coming to Nebraska. Come on, bring on Notre Dame. Bring on more NIL money. Bring on the private jets. Bring on whoever. Carter Nelson's coming to Nebraska. The fear I have, this is a personal fear in my own head, is that when you recruit players of that caliber, the expectation for them is going to be obviously pretty damn high. I don't know his parents. I don't know how they think. I don't know how he thinks. I don't even know him, right? What I do know is that he's a borderline 5-star player. And he's talking to the best coaches, the best scouts, the best trainers, the best people in this field in the world. They're in his ear. I know some of them have had their question marks about Nebraska and about what's going on there and how quickly Rule's going to be able to build it and turn things around. I know they're going to say things like, oh, well, they don't got a quarterback, or their offensive line this, or their offensive coordinator that. I know all of that's going to come up. The question isn't, is he going to get to Lincoln, though? The question is, what will it take to keep him in Lincoln? If he comes the first year and he turns out to be a non-factor, he's on the field, but he's not getting targets. What's that mean? Notre Dame calls or Georgia calls and says, hey, we've got Dylan Raiola, or we've got whoever the next 5 stars at Notre Dame, and we're ready to incorporate you now. That shit going on in Nebraska is not going to fly here. We need you getting 7, 8 targets a game. Nebraska's getting you 2, right? What's the minimum requirement? What's the expectation from his family, at some point he's going to have a team, right? This is a 5-star recruit who's planning on going to the NFL. It's going to be a potential first-round pick we're talking about if he was at a school that can produce first-round talent, which I believe Nebraska is that school. They've just got to prove it, right? What's the leash? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? How fast do we need to see production from him? I don't know. That's my only question mark, but I don't have any questions that he's going to come here. Joshua, thank you for being a member for a month. What do you think of Demon Demas? Okay, guys, I'm not sure if you've seen this pop up. Demon Demas was a former. Let me just pull it up on the screen. I'm a visual learner, so I like to involve you guys visually with my storytelling. I'm going to do the On3 profile. Undefined. Okay. But this only shows his junior college. I got to get back to high school so you guys can get amped up. I like to get you guys excited the way I get excited. Okay, here we go. Demon Demas. Okay. If you guys remember in 2020? Yeah, 2020. If you guys remember in 2020, Texas A&M had this disgustingly good recruiting class. Disgusting, like the number one of all time, and they paid a lot of money for it. I think Elijah Judy was part of that class. This guy was part of that class. He ends up enrolling at A&M. He's a five-star receiver, top 30 in the country. I mean, he's a freak athlete, still is. He plays at Garden City JUCO. Where is it? Garden City. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't play at Garden City JUCO. He went to, wait, hold on. I thought he plays at Garden City JUCO. Maybe, whatever. It doesn't matter. He plays in JUCO right now somewhere. Let me see where his offer list is. I'm trying to get you guys all caught up. For those who don't know, he had offers everywhere. Oklahoma in the Lincoln Riley era. Arkansas, A&M. I mean, this is a five-star player. It's a superstar. This is the best of the best. For Nebraska to even be in on him is a strong conversation. It's worth having the conversation. Clemson, Florida, Georgia, everybody wanted him. Michigan. Okay, the whole world. We all see it. He had off-the-field issues. I don't remember what they were. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't even looked at what they were because I don't care. Because guys learn, guys move on, and they come back from it. He either got kicked out of school, left school, something happened. Now he's in JUCO. He's coming on a visit to Nebraska, it sounds like, at the end of the year. I think they said for the Iowa games, the potential, because he's got games leading up to it. Okay. This would be a game-changing recruit for Nebraska. Not an Omar Manning recruit. Omar Manning had some issues. Loved Omar Manning. Solid. But he left, I think, for other reasons. He left because some mental health issues, kind of like the Arik Gilbert thing, right? He had to take a step back because whatever was going on in his personal life was holding him back from being an effective football player at TCU. Same with Gilbert at Georgia, okay? So you were taking on a project that you had to rebuild. Now you've got Demas. He's not a project that you have to rebuild. Maybe as a person, you got to make sure he's on his shit and he's not a problem and he's not going to get in trouble, right? But he's ready to go. He's ready to play now. He's ready to come in and be that five-star player that he originally was. He doesn't have any injuries. He doesn't have any issues holding him back from being ready to go next year. He would be Nebraska's starting receiver tomorrow, right? I feel fantastic about their odds to get him. I think Nebraska's been on him for a while now. Obviously, they have that Texas pipeline. He's from Texas, so they've had a relationship with him. If Nebraska gets him, this will be their number one receiver next year. That's my takeaway. I think they're going to get him. I think we found the number one receiver. Now, who's going to be throwing him the ball? That's the question. So, that's it. That's what I know so far. Scrolling back through. Trying to get caught up. Here's one. Fifth quarter tailgate says over under. Coleman has 100 yards receiving tomorrow. And then Michael says, bold prediction, Coleman has 100-plus receiving yards in his first start. Bold is an understatement. What? Bold? Okay, how many Nebraska receivers have had 100-yard receiving yard games this year so far? What? I'm trying to process that right now. Nebraska's leading receiver is Billy Kemp. Hold up. Nebraska... I'm going to include you guys on this. Let me screen share. One sec. 2023. Screen share. Okay. This bold prediction is ludicrous. And I love that you have bold predictions, but this is crazy. I'm not bashing you for it. I'm just saying this is crazy. Okay, look at this. Nebraska's leading receiver is Billy Kemp with 219 yards in 6 games. Their second two receivers have 150, 170. In 6 games. And you're saying, do you think Malachi Coleman is going to come out and break into the top 4? They have had 6 games to accumulate over 100 yards. Malachi's going to do it in 1 game? It just feels like a reach. I mean, I don't want to bash hopes, but I also don't want to be overly optimistic. Let's say Malachi has 4 catches. That would be a bold prediction. Bold. Heinrich's only going to complete, what, 15 passes? 20 at most? If he throws... This is hard, right? I'm trying to think. Let's say Heinrich has a crazy day and he throws it 25 times, okay? And let's say he's off the charts accurate and there aren't any drops and he completes 20 balls, okay? You've got 3 receivers, a tight end. That's 4 different targets plus a running back. You got to divide 20 by that. I mean... 4 is a bold prediction for Malachi Coleman in the first start. Okay? Yards. He runs 10-yard routes. I've seen him do it. He can run deeper, like 15. I don't see him going over the top. I mean, maybe he goes once over the top. He'd have to hit this prediction you're talking about. He'd have to beat a guy deep. Are they going to send him deep? Is the question. Is he that guy? I don't know. Isn't Jalen Lloyd more the take the top off? I don't know. We've only seen Malachi play a few games. I'm going to say an over comfortably for me to predict for a bold prediction would be a 4-catch, 45-yard total. So bold prediction. Does he go over that? Sure. Yes. I'm gonna take the over on that. 100. The odds would be like minus 9,000. No, I'm just kidding. They'd be like minus 900. You have to bet like $900 to win $100 on a 100-yard receiving day for Malachi tomorrow. That's just my take, guys. Fifth quarter says, to be fair, I'm taking the way under. That's funny. Okay, so I saw this the other day. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts here. So, well, let me run through it first, what I'm showing you. So, Nebraska Twitter the other day posted that you've got the 100 years of Memorial Stadium graphic, and you got from 1923 to 2023, and you can see it started here, and then it evolves, okay? So then they posted the evolution. You started here in 1923. It had to track around the stadium. I mean, this is old school. Imagine being in this 31,000 person stadium back in 1923. It just seems like a lot of people. I would have thought there would have been less people going to Nebraska football games in 1923 than 31,000, but whatever. We keep moving. You get to 1924 to 1978, and this is where they start to expand. You got the field house, you got the end zones. Okay, cool. Things are looking good. I think they moved to turf here. Yeah, 1970 turf. Okay. Get to the 80s and early 2000s, you get the giant press box incorporated, you get the lights. These are such iconic lights, the ones right here on the east side of the stadium. Then they take out the lights and they put up a beastly structure, and that's the new part of the stadium that's beautiful and makes Nebraska, Nebraska. End zone was added 2006. Okay. Now you get to the future. They're going to close it off. It's going to look like one of college football's bigger stadiums. It's going to look like Florida or LSU, any of those stadiums with a bowl at the end, which I personally like the closed. I like how you can enclose it right here, and I like how it would just be this beastly built-in thing. Who knows what they'd put back here? Like, do you do some Hall of Fame in here, kind of like the Chiefs have? I don't know. That's all TBD at this point. But what I read was that some people are concerned that it could raise ticket costs, that it could push people out and make it so it's unaffordable for a lot of fans to go. Obviously, it's going to drop capacity down to like 75,000. Some people say, oh, well, if it's not a 75,000 or an 80-something thousand person stadium, Nebraska is not really one of the football Goliaths. You know, you've got Penn State, who's got over 100,000, Michigan, Tennessee, Bama's at like 99. You got USC with a bigger stadium. Anyway, all these schools have these massive stadiums, and Nebraska would actually be reducing the size. How do you guys feel about it? I mean, I think it would be cool to get a stadium update and upgrade and, you know, push towards the modern era, the modern world. Make sure that people still want to go to games. It's really hard to want to go to games when you have the opportunity to sit at home and watch games on TV and watch 6 games at once and have everything at your disposal so that you can bet and do whatever you're doing from your house and not have to deal with stadium Wi-Fi and weather and other people and parking. It's a lot, right? So you've got to build a stadium and improve on it to get people to want to come. That's my takeaway. I don't know. I want to know what you guys thought, though. Huskerhead says, Sup Corn Craze Army. I think AG goes off tomorrow. 150 plus rushing with 2 TDs. Another super bold prediction. You guys are firing some bold ones. I mean, if he had a 100-yard day, that'd be massive. You've got to remember, Heinrich Haarberg is not a quarterback. He's a running quarterback. So he's going to run the ball. They're going to make sure it's in his hands. It takes away from the running backs. It takes away opportunities. If AG rushes it 17 times, he'd have to go for 10 yards a carry almost. All right. 2 TDs, I could see. 2 TDs I agree with. But 150 yards rushing it's just a lot. I think when you've got a running quarterback like Haarberg, you rely less on the running backs. Michael says crowd will be louder if we downsize. Is that true? Upgrades will be amazing. Seat downsize is scary. Worried what they will do with season ticket holders. I think that's one of the key issues that people have. They don't know where the season ticket holders are going to be pushed to. If some are going to be pushed out or how that's going to work. The only reason to decrease capacity is to preserve the sellout streak. I don't think that's true. I think you decrease capacity so that you can have bigger seats, right? You can have more of a luxurious environment for certain people. If you have those sections to have bigger seats, then people are going to want to come and sit in those because you're not sitting on a bench jammed up tight to each other. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but that's what I would think the goal would be, to make things more comfortable and not cram people in like you're in, a little sardine can. They should have increased capacity. If rule succeeds, more than 75,000 people will want tickets. Upgrades are cool, just not when they downsize capacity. Yeah, I guess that's an issue. And here is where I agree. People are wider than they were in the past. The seats need to be widened. All these stadiums in the country, or around the country, college stadiums, not NFL, they have benches. Not all of them, but a lot of them have benches. And when you sit on the bench, we're big people. My dad's 6'3". I'm 5'10", like almost 200 pounds. He's 240. I mean, we're big. So I'll sit next to him, and we'll be cramped up next to each other. And you got two other dudes who are big guys sitting next to us, and you're in these little, pockets. So I think the seats being widened is why the capacity is going to go down, which is going to make it more of an enjoyable experience. Even though you want more people to get in there, it's only going to be a bunch of small people. We need some big men in that stadium. And Nebraska will not lose money on reducing seats. Prices will increase in different sections to still make the revenue. Plus, the grandfathered prices will change. Yeah, those are all true facts, I think. Interesting. Thank you guys for your input, because I like to know what you think. I like to be on top of what the real fans and the real people who are going to the games are thinking, because I only go to so many. This week's games, obviously we talked about Nebraska, Northwestern, Penn State, Ohio State. Okay, chat, I need to know. This is an interesting game. We're not going to pick the winner, because, no, we're not doing that. We're picking against the spread for this one. Ohio State -5. A or Penn State +5 B. Let me know in the comments or chat. Ohio State or Penn State. Penn State's B. The next one is Rutgers, Indiana. Doesn't matter for us. Minnesota, Iowa. That's the next question I got. Next one I want to know is for you guys. Is for Wisconsin, or for Minnesota, Iowa. But I'm going to wait. Penn State, Ohio State. Everyone's on B. Most people are on B. CTV says 1,000 on B. So I'm emotionally invested in Penn State because I'm tired of seeing the same few teams win, and I want to see something different. So I want Penn State, but my gut in my head just tells me that Ohio State, in the biggest moment at home, they're going to do it again. They're going to come out and they're going to win a game, And that's just, I really want to see Penn State do it, though. So I'm rooting hard for Penn State tomorrow, but I don't know what's going to happen. I just don't know if Penn State has the offense. They have the defense, but do they have the offense? Because Ohio State has the offense to eventually figure it out. Okay, so people are saying Minnesota, expecting Iowa. Minnesota, really? We're not taking points here. Just winner. Is it Iowa or Minnesota? Because I don't think Minnesota can do it. Minnesota's so bad. And so is Iowa. Iowa's trash. But I don't know. CTB says, do you think it's realistic that Penn State wins the Big Ten? If Penn State beats Ohio State, I think it's realistic that they win the Big Ten, because they have Michigan at home after that. And they can beat Michigan. That's a big rivalry. So beat Ohio State. I'm going to say Penn State wins the Big Ten. Lose to Ohio State, obviously, I don't think so. Craig says, Iowa is such a consistent, solid team. I don't see Michigan winning. Or Minnesota winning. Sorry. Got confused for a second. I'm in the same boat. Even though it's going to be a 3-0 game, I trust Iowa more, Dayton says, you took me on bro throw for Michigan State to cover against Michigan. Can't wait to take your money. Okay, hold up. Let me tell you this, Dayton. Let me tell you this. I took your bet at 24.5. Michigan State is getting 24.5 points at home against Michigan. The last time Michigan covered, or Michigan won by more than 24 in East Lansing was in 1985. That's 38 years ago. I'm going to run with the trend that Michigan State can keep it within 24 points. And that's why I had to bet against you. Michigan's really freaking good. It's a rivalry game. Michigan State wants this more than they want anything in the whole world. It's a night game in East Lansing. I mean, I'm taking Michigan State to lose by 24 and to take your money. Iowa defense is too strong. Yeah, so pretty much everyone's on Iowa. Okay, the other one is Wisconsin at Illinois. I am taking Wisconsin in this one. I think Wisconsin's by far. I mean, it's not even close. Wisconsin's a lot better of a team than Illinois. They're not going to have their quarterback, but just in general, Wisconsin's more consistent. I think their defense is stronger. Illinois last week came out, and everyone's riding the high. Like, they came out and they beat Maryland. Woo. Maryland's not that good. Remember, the Big Ten teams are not very good. So the reality is Wisconsin should win this one. I'm going to take them to hammer Illinois. I think they'll beat Illinois by like 10. The stream is lagging. It says YouTube is having a issue receiving video. It's not maintaining a smooth stream. I can't see what else it says. It's all cropped off. It says viewers will experience buffering. So yes, guys, sorry. It's lagging a little bit right now. I don't know why. It says it's a YouTube issue. It popped up as a notification. Rodis, thank you for the $20 super chat. Shout out to the Husker girls tomorrow. Let's go. Yeah, I think it's volleyball tomorrow, right? I gotta watch. Thank you for the 20 again. Rodis and I met at the Nebraska game, and he said he wanted to do anything he could to help our channel out, which obviously means a lot to me because I put a lot of work into it. So thank you for the support. So guys, tomorrow, here's my schedule. Tomorrow, I go to, at 8 a.m., I go to my new apartment. I've got to meet my TV install guy. He's going to mount all of our TVs. We got 3 of them. Then I got to meet my AT&T guy. There's like AT&T Fiber, which is like the best Wi-Fi. He's going to reroute the internet to my bedroom so I can hardwire. Because when I hardwire, I get better internet connection. And I can do live streams, right? So at 8 a.m., I got to do that. Then, after wait, stream is clipping a bit. Oh, yeah. I mean, the stream's going to lag. It's just going to buffer. It is what it is. Okay. So in the morning, after I get done with that, I'm going to come back home at like 11 a.m. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to stream. Then I'm going to pack my boxes that night. Next morning, the movers come. Then I'm out of this apartment. We'll see no more videos from this apartment ever again. So enjoy it. Tomorrow night's the last stream from here. It is what it is. I really enjoyed building the channel from this apartment, but we're on to bigger and better things. We're moving forward. I'm going to try to do my live stream against a different wall in my new bedroom instead of doing it against my bed. So that's going to be the new game plan. We're switching the desk. We're rotating it this direction to face my bed, and then behind me is going to be a black wall. That's the goal. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's the goal. I'm going to work it out. So we'll see. I mean, I just want to have a good vibe. This is my new apartment. Here you go, so you guys can see. I was looking at pictures of it earlier. Big homeless area over here. This is like Hollywood, near Hollywood Boulevard. Exciting times. Trying to see. They don't have good pictures of like what mine will look like, but I got big closets. That's the benefit. Anyway, so I'm moving in tomorrow, or it's Sunday, and then from there we're gonna start a new chapter of my life and a new chapter of Corn Craze, since it'll be a different visual for you guys. So that's what it is. Just want to keep you guys updated with my life because that's what's going on. Hummus says you need that better connection now. Well, it's not me. It's YouTube, because YouTube's popping up with the notifications. But, okay, well, guys, since it's lagging, well, I'm going to do one more super chat. Jim, thank you for the $7. $7.77, the lucky number. Just win, baby, GBR. I like that. I'm all in on that. I'm reading other comments. Minnie says, will you be up for the after live? Yes, I'll be up live. Or I will be up and live after the game. A guy like Corn Craze could buy his own house in Nebraska, but now I'd have to live in Nebraska. Shout out to Nebraska. Love Nebraska, but I just can't live in Nebraska. I got to live somewhere that's a little more popping right now. One day, though. One day, maybe it's going to happen. Have a second home in Nebraska. Okay, well, the stream keeps lagging. I hate that it's lagging. It's frustrating. So, guys, thank you for being here. We'll be back tomorrow night with a live stream right after the game, right after the win. We're going to be all turned up and excited, happy, good vibes. So, thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Go Big Red.